Hey, what's up YouTube? It's K-Rad here. Just figured I'd make a quick little video while I'm napping. Alright. So, we have a Puerto Rican former world champion, Mr. Angel Acosta, versus the Japanese Japanese, superstar phenom, Mr. Junto Nakatani, not Mr. Masayoshi Nakatani. He will be facing off Angel September 10th for the WBO flyweight title. So I just figured I'd cover this video because for any of you Puerto Ricans that do watch me, I figured I'd share the news. This is huge. I hope Mr. Angel wins his title once again. For those of you that don't know, Angel Acosta, he used to be, I think, a WBO flyweight champion, and then he lost it to like some other fighter that I don't know. Basically, he's been through a lot of wars, and Angel, he's a very well decorated opponent, and I'm definitely gonna watch this fight because I have to support, my Puerto Rican fighters. But despite from like other guys like Edgar Berlanga and other fighters that I have beef with, like, no, I don't really care about y'all. Like, yeah, like, if you get knocked out, then I'm gonna watch it. But still, I mean, like, you're still on like my same side of what the street per se. But I want to disregard it. But Mr. Angel will be facing off a really good southpaw. Junto Nakatani's nobody to play with. He's a very destructive fighter. Likes to fight a lot on the inside. He's more of a, he's more of like a boxer puncher. He doesn't have too many knockouts as far as I know. Let me take a look at his box rec. I know this guy, he doesn't knock everybody out. Yeah, he only has like a 70. Whoa, yeah, okay. Yeah, this guy knows how to hit. But you have to look at his opposition though. He has 16 knockouts, but who has he been fighting ever since then to get all these knockouts? Yeah, so if we look at his last 5 opponents, this guy, Giamil Mercado, this guy is a Filipino, 26 years old, okay? This guy's not even, like, that good of a fighter. He's been fighting, like, a bunch of no-names for, like, semi-titles, but, okay, good. And this was for the vacant title, so okay, I'll give you a little bit of respect, but either way, it still doesn't matter. Like, I mean, like, I think honestly, everything that you see out of these fighters that have good knockouts, it's not even consistent, because it's like you have to look at what the fights themselves to see how good that fighter is, to determine if this fighter is going to stylistically outbeat your fighter. But from what I've seen out of this kid knows how to hit, but I don't think he's going to have a really good time with a guy like Angel. Angel is a very, how should I say, he's a very rough, rugged, but very defensive pressure fighter. He doesn't care if you try to hit him a couple times. He will find a way to hit you. And he makes sure everything is, like, in his favor for him to, become a very, how should I say, a very, methodical fighter. And, he's very gifted in that, in that department, to make sure that he takes away your greatest strength and uses it for his greatest advantage. And it's good that, he's fighting a guy like Junto Nakatani, who is number 2 on BoxRec, and he's right behind Mr. Julio Cesar Martinez. But if Acosta gets through Nakatani, which I definitely see Acosta knocking this guy out, yeah, we could definitely see him get the WBL, go about his way, fight Mr. Julio Cesar Martinez, and then maybe go after, who's the other champions? Sonny Edwards, he's like, what, the IBF? Yeah, he's the IBF. Get his ass out the way. And then, who's the last one? The WBA. I think it's Artem. Artem, right? I think he's a WBA. Yep, he's a WBA. So, I mean, there's plenty of options for like where things can go, but I mean, we just really don't know where things are gonna go with this fight. I think honestly, everything is good for Angel, cause he's already been in there with so many good names, and he's very, how should I say, he's very well talented in his own right. And then you got this guy, Mick Williams Arroyo. He's a very destructive fighter, by the way. I could really see him winning multiple world titles. People don't give him a lot of credit because, you know, he lost to Chocolatito and then he lost to like some no-name Asian. But other than that, I mean, he's really not a bad fighter. He's really good in his own respective right. But Angel, I can see him breaking this kid down, giving this kid a lot of issues. The biggest weakness for Junto is that he doesn't have a lot of good defense. And I kind of find it weird how this kid doesn't really get hit to a point where he actually breaks down, because he's just like one of those Japanese fighters where he's like a make or break type of fighter. So if it works, then it works, but if it doesn't work, he's like, you know, he still keeps on throwing at you. And I don't see how this kid really has like the slickest style as a southpaw, because as a southpaw you're supposed to be slick, and you're supposed to use your advantages to dismantle an opponent's, you know, greatest advantages over you, because that's what a southpaw should always do. A southpaw should always find the right shots and never overextend to get caught with a left hook and a straight right jab, because if you're facing another southpaw that does that to you, you know, it's still a very difficult night for you to get by, because you don't know what's coming to you, because that southpaw fights just as good as you. So it's kind of good to like be unpredictable as a southpaw, so that way you don't really leave yourself wide open to get hit. But I mean, for this kid to be like what 21-0 with 16 KOs, you know, it doesn't really surprise me, because a lot of those Japanese fighters really fight guys that they know that they can beat. They don't really fight guys on a world level, where, I mean, I definitely do give this kid credit. He is fighting good competition, but as far as Angel's competition goes, Angel seems to be like the more seasoned fighter that has way more experience, that has downed a lot of people. And I mean, he's only been knocked out like one time by Elwin Soto, which that fight didn't really make, I don't know, it didn't make any sense. I kind of felt like Elwin, he was kind of cheating in that fight, but either way, I mean, he came back and he did what the fuck he did what he had to do against Raymond Tubican and Gilberto Mendoza. So I mean, he is a really damn good fighter. So it's not like Angel is out of the woods. And I think if he beats a guy like Mr. Junto Nakatani, then he's just going to shock the world once again. Because we already know that he already won the WBO back in, 2017? Well, he lost to Kosei Tanaka, which that fight could have gone either way. I kind of thought Kosei was actually losing that fight. But, I mean, ever since he got another world title shot after, I think when Kosei got knocked out, right? Because he got knocked out recently. Yeah, he got knocked out by that Kazuto Ioka guy. That was actually pretty funny when he got knocked out. But either way, that was at light flyweight. So that was at 108 pounds. But, you know, once he got his light flyweight title back, because, yeah, he actually won the light flyweight title. Yeah, he won it. He won it against Zaniga, and then he lost it to Elwin Soto, which that fight could have went either way, but you know, I guess he just got gassed out and got caught with a good shot, and then boom. So they ruled that shit as a KO, knowing that, you know, I guess he wanted to protest it. But no, he's still a damn good fighter. I mean, you know, this is like no different from any other fight, and I mean, Angel, he has a lot of knockout power, so it's like, I don't see this fight going any further than the 8th round. If that really does go into a very difficult matchup, I don't know how that would go. Honestly, I think honestly, like, I have Angel by the ninth, knocking Nakatani out. I don't see how Nakatani doesn't leave himself wide open for, like a straight left that gives him, yeah, that gives him problems, or that straight right coming from Angel, because Angel, he got power in both of his hands, so he's not just like the type of fighter to like let things fly off the hook, and he is very methodical with his punches. So, I think Angel, he got it. So I mean, he has like a really good stable, and I actually kind of found out that he is married to Aurelie Mucino, to whom, if you all don't know, I think she fights at like 100 and, like, I forgot what she fights at, like super flyweight, right? She, like, she's a very good fighter. She's like one of those Mexican female fighters. I've always liked watching her. She's one of my favorite fighters that I watch, when I was growing up, from like high school and middle school. So I love her a lot. She's very talented, and I got mad respect for Angel having that type of stable behind him, because he deserves everything that he worked hard for. So I think Angel, even if he loses this fight, it shows that he's willing to fight the best, win, lose, or draw. And like I said in the past, when I used to wrestle in high school, I didn't give a shit if I won, if I won or lost. I just cared about being in there with some really good names, and then come to find out, if I beat a guy that had a really good record, and I actually had like a good night defeating him, then it shows that I actually did not care who was put in front of me. I faced that person, and boom. If I won, then I win. If I lose, I lose, because I'm gonna get better. So that's how I see it in boxing. A win-loss record doesn't really define you. Yeah, I get it. There's some fighters out there that are just naturally not that good in the sport, and they have to work on their skills before they start winning, and then they could be recognized more. Because there are fighters out there that have like really horrible records, and yeah, nobody talks about them. But these guys are like just taking like basically a paycheck to do like 4 to 6 rounder fights, and they're just fighting bum after bum, or just basically being a gatekeeper for some other fighter that's on the come up, that's going to just take them out, and then boom, that bum fighter is not going to get any better. So I mean, there are levels to the game, but it's like, if you want to get better in boxing, you just have to put your mind to it. That's the same concept with any other sport. And I think Angel, he proves time and time again, like any other great athlete, that it doesn't matter how hard you get knocked down. It matters of how you're gonna get back up when you get knocked down, and then boom, you're gonna be shining once again. Like, that's why, like, even with MMA, I actually like it when fighters do lose, because it actually like shows a lot of heart and dedication that the fighters have when they do come back. And they don't give a shit about losing. They just care about putting on a show and giving it their all, because nobody's perfect. But guess what, if you put your mind into anything in life, win, lose, or draw, in what you do in life, you're always going to be successful, because your success is like a tree. It breeds off of you putting in the hard work and dedication to come back and revitalize that tree, to bring more energy to it. So I think that's like the greatest thing about the sport of boxing and wrestling. If you look at those two combat sports, where they give you the motivation and the drive to come back and not care about if you're gonna lose again or you're gonna win, it doesn't fucking matter. You just go back and go and get it. It's the same concept with anything else in life. If you know that you want to get into coding, but you're not the best at coding right now, you just go back into the lab, get your skills up, and then boom, you're gonna dominate the IT industry one day. So why can't that same principle be applied to boxing? And I think I understand why. Because boxing is a very prideful sport. Boxing is a very politically motivated sport, where if you lose, then that's it. People will look at that loss as like a nightmarish memory, Versus like in MMA, people don't care about that. People give you respect if you lose, because you gave it your all. But in the sport of boxing, it doesn't work like that. Like when Evander Holyfield lost his first fight, everybody was like, "Oh, how could you lose to this guy?" Blah blah blah. But guess what? Not every fighter is good on every single night. Like Katie Taylor, she almost lost against Natasha Jonas. I'm sorry, but to all you Katie Taylor dick riders, like she was gonna lose. She was struggling. And Katie Taylor, she's not the best fighter as she claims to be, because she's not fighting all the best fighters in the world. The way she looked like against Natasha Jonas, she gets stopped brutally by Amanda Serrano and probably Chantel Cameron. Or shit, I'll probably even go further. Clarissa would stop her. But it's not to say that she's a bad fighter. She has all the skills to pay the bills in the world, but when you have to be straight up to her and when she listens to you, you have to be honest with her. You can't just be lying to her. And I'm pretty sure she knows that. I don't hate Katie. I respect and love Katie. But guess what? Katie Taylor, you're not pound for pound number 1. You're at least pound for pound top 5. And I'm just going to keep it real. Like, if that is how I have to view a fighter, I'm going to have to be honest with you. Because if it's you or me, I'm going to go with me. Because I'm not going to be biased for you. I'm going to be unbiased. I'm going to be unapologetic, and I'm going to come back to this channel with facts. I'm not going to just be speaking out of my ass and just dick ride for a fighter or dick ride for any athlete. It's the same thing in the NBA for Kevin Huerter. I haven't been talking about him, but guess what? Kevin Huerter, he's been doing his thing. The Hawks are doing good. And guess what? If Kevin Huerter, if he wins a title, I will be making a huge tribute for Mr. Kevin Huerter. I will be respecting him. I will be saying all the great things about him. Even though, me and him, we're not super duper good friends. But, he's a good acquaintance that I've known in high school. And I'll give you all the credibility, man, because you deserve it. Why? Because I knew you from day one that you would be great. And you don't care what anyone says to you, because win, lose, or draw, you're always going to be on top. Kevin Huerter will always be on top because he puts in the work and he knows what his strengths and weaknesses are. So in boxing, it should just be just like that. It does not matter if you lose. I've lost before, and guess what? I just basically laughed it off. I'm like, okay, whatever. I fucking lost. It does not matter if you lose in any sport. There's no shame in losing. But to some athletes that care about losing, they think that if you lose out on a huge payday. And that's not fucking true. Mike Tyson lost, and guess what? He still gets paid. Yeah, he still got paid like $15 to $20+ million a fucking fight. If Floyd Mayweather lost, he would still get paid a lot of money. It's not like, oh, sorry Floyd, you lost, then Showtime kicks you out. Better luck next time if you win again, right? Guess what? If he wins again, he's gonna get paid more money. That's how boxing should be. If you beat the champion after you lost your belt, you should get a pay bonus for having to beat, a new world champion if you were the former world champion. Honestly, boxing just needs to pay more so that way people don't care about, taking that first L, because it's not like anybody could not lose one day out of their own fight. They can. Everybody's susceptible to losing. So why can't that same energy just be applied to boxing as you see it in other sports? And the problem is just simply that people got way too much pride to think that, okay, well, I'm such a good fighter, I should prove to the world that I'm undefeated and nobody can't beat me, blah blah blah. Like, no, that's not how the sport works. The sport works in plus and minuses, so you have to take in the positives and take in the negatives. And you're gonna have a day where, let's just say, if you don't feel too good and you get punched to the stomach and you end up throwing up, and then guess what? The referee might call it like a disqualification or maybe just say, no contest. But it's like, one of those days you might get screwed over where you could lose. I don't know, but you have to be prepared for that type of shit. Especially when, there's so much corruption in the sport now, but it's just like, You know, like, you shouldn't have to, like, really think about that and just move on with, like, your life. But either way, it's just that the sport of boxing needs to be, revitalized to a point where if Angel Acosta loses his next fight, it's not the end of the world for him. He's 30 years old. He has plenty of time. But even if Junko Nakatani loses his O to Angel, Angel will become a good fighter at the end of the day. But he's still going to develop from that fight. Because it's like, just because he's a veteran doesn't mean he's still developing. Everybody's still developing in the sport. But if you're willing to put in the hard work to make a better effort to, regain, like, your legacy victories, or to revitalize your own legacy, then that is why boxing is good for that manner, to give you the credibility for having that big win on your resume, even though that you're not the well-known athlete. And look at all the upsets that have happened. Leon Lawson, he got defeated by Nathaniel Gallimore, but it's not like people are writing him off. It's not like Leon Lawson lost to like some hopeless fighter. He lost to a coincidentalist fighter. Nate Gallimore is a damn good fighter, but it's not like everybody's saying Leon Lawson's trash. He's a damn good fighter, but from the looks of it, he just looked like he was having such a lazy night out there, and then he just ended up, he fucked around and then he lost. He didn't take that fight too seriously, but let's just say in his next 5 fights, if he starts knocking people out, good for him. He should be doing that more, because 1, he's a taller fighter, and 2, he has way more skills to dominate people with his height and reach. But that's pretty much what I gotta say. I just wanted to cover on Angel's next fight. I think he's gonna knock out Junto. I don't see Nakatani really handling Angel's power pressure. Also, Angel, he has like better footwork than this guy, so that could be a really good advantage for Angel to just stay on the outside, not trade too much with this kid. It seems like this kid favors a lot of inside fighting, but once Angel breaks this kid down, he could easily get that W. But I got a 55-45 Angel's way. But that's pretty much what I gotta say. Let me know what you guys think. I'm out. Thank you, and goodbye.